It's Sunday, once again, time for another video. Depeche Mode again. It's a big one. Hi guys, and welcome to Piano and Keyboard Artist, where we discuss the artists related to pianos, keyboards and synthesizers. And continuing with my Depeche Mode album review series, this is Music for the Masses, Part 2. So in this episode, which is Part 2, I want to discuss the lyrics of Music for the Masses. Now, I've not discussed the lyrics in the previous album reviews, the previous albums that I've reviewed. But in hindsight, that would have probably been a good idea, and I may well go back and address the lyrics of the previous albums later. But from this point, moving on, I would like to discuss the lyrics of the albums, because to those of you who are not Depeche Mode fans, or you'll probably not even be watching this video if you're not a fan, but people who are not fans of Depeche Mode will, often call them boring or depressing or electronic, or they'll put them in a box. But to you and I, the devotee who are, big Depeche Mode fans, we know that there is so much more to Depeche Mode than just great songs, great lyrics, great production. There are so many aspects which make up the rich tapestry of the band, or the institution of Depeche Mode, as I call it. Now, as far as lyrics go on Depeche Mode albums, of course, these days, Dave contributes songs, and ever so more in the more recent albums. But of course, Martin, we all know, is the kind of the brains and the core behind the songs of Depeche Mode. And what's interesting is Martin has often said on interviews that his song lyrics are very personal. So you will never hear Martin sort of describing what a song's about. He will never say, oh, here's this, this song word for word and run through it. Martin does give hints, as to, or clues sometimes, but Martin has never sort of gone, okay, I'm going to tell you verbatim, word for word, what Never Let Me Down's lyrics mean. So he does write from a very personal perspective. But the great thing about Martin's songs is the songs are not literal. They're very ambiguous, and sometimes they're more literate or literal than others, and sometimes they're very ambiguous. And as I say, we're going to run through all the songs on this album and read the lyrics and just sort of see how we can interpret them. Now, starting with Never Let Me Down Again, I remember the very first time I heard Never Let Me Down Again. I was a teenager, and, call it the innocence of youth. I literally just took it literally. For instance, it goes, I'm taking a ride with my best friend. And to me, as a teenager, that meant, oh, he's in a car with his friend and they're taking a drive. I hope he never lets me down again. They're in a car. He knows where he's taking me where I want to be. I'm taking a ride with my best friend. So to me as a teenager at the time, I thought, this is a man in a car with his friend, or a girl in a car with her friend. You're taking a ride with your best friend. It's literate. Taking it literally. And then it gets to the we're flying high. We're watching the world pass us by. And I went, oh, okay. Maybe they're in a helicopter now, or they're in a plane. Never want to come down, never want to put my feet back on the ground. Oh, that's all very literal, I thought, as I was a teenager. When it gets to the second verse, I'm taking a ride with my best friend. I hope he never lets me down again. Promises me I'm as safe as houses as long as I remember who's wearing the trousers. Yes, and as a teenager, I remember thinking, this person's driving, and he's a safe driver, so you as the passenger are as safe as houses. That was the literal interpretation I had as a teenager. Now, of course, the song could mean that. And that's what's great about Depeche Mode songs, is that they can be interpreted in so many different ways. And Martin never says what the songs are about. So who knows what he meant? And sometimes I think Martin has a laugh because, he'll write a song and people will go, oh, it's about that. And I think he's going, oh, really, is it? So this is what's great as being a songwriter. You can put things out, and it's great how people really get into it and try to analyze and interpret every word you said. But you see, this is the skill of great songwriting, is to, the best songs are always songs that are on face value are very literal and very obvious, but then reading between the lines, there's something deeper. Now, one of the very first experiences that really made me look out the box and look deeper into lyrics was this song, Never Let Me Down Again, when I was a teenager. Because as I say, I listened to it very literally, and the lyrics to me were just someone taking a ride in a car with their best friend, or we're flying high, now they're flying in a plane, and the person who's driving the car is a safe driver, so therefore the passenger is as safe as houses. But really what made me see this in a completely different way was I had a friend who was a gay man, and he, we were talking about Depeche Mode once. He was a massive Depeche Mode fan. And he said, Never Let Me Down is about being gay. And I went, no, it's not. And he said, no, it is. And it was very interesting because he explained to me why Never Let Me Down Again is about being gay. And it's fascinating. And his interpretation was as follows. I'm taking a ride with my best friend. And his interpretation of that was, to him, that meant he was having sex with another man. I'm taking a ride with my best friend. I'm having sex with another man. I hope he never lets me down again. And to that he meant there was, dominance in the bedroom and control. He knows where he's taking me where I want to be, meaning that the two men in this case having sex, the one is leading and the other one's following. I'm taking a ride with my best friend. And then when it gets to the we're flying high, we're watching the world pass us by, never want to come down, never want to put my feet back on the ground, my gay friend's interpretation of that was, we're flying high, we're on drugs, or it's this feeling of elation, only when I lose myself. There are these threads running through Depeche Mode's songs of sex and dominance and orgasm and all these deeper levels. So what I'm trying to point out to you there in a very black and white sense was, there was me as a teenager interpreting this song as, I'm taking a ride with my best friend. I hope he never lets me down again. I thought it was someone in a car. And then my friend comes along who's a gay man, and he's saying, no, this is about gay sex. And what I'm illustrating to you is it goes back to that saying, well, we don't see the world the way it is. We see the world the way we are. Okay, it's very philosophical, but there is a lot of truth in that. And that example illustrates brilliantly how Depeche Mode's lyrics can be so differently interpreted depending on who's listening to them. That indeed was a very eye-opening experience for me, because it made me think at that time as a teenager, wow, have I misinterpreted this all along? What this made me realize, and what is indeed fascinating, is that you as the listener can read into these songs and interpret them in any way you can. And Martin did always say that his songs are very personal. But where Martin is brilliant is that the way he writes, he's not only expressing what the songs mean to him personally, but to you and me, the listener, we are interpreting these songs as well. And it's fascinating, and we're going to get into this in a lot more detail in future videos, is how the songs can mean certain things to certain people. Never Let Me Down Again to me, as a teenager, was about driving in a car. Okay, Vaughan, you've said that. And then to my gay friend, it was about gay sex and, having gay sex under the influence of drugs and alcohol. We're flying high and never want to put our feet back on the ground. Promises me I'm as safe as houses as long as I remember who's wearing the trousers. So to my friend, the gay friend, that was a really sexual, I'm wearing the trousers. And to me, who I was quite an innocent teenager, it was just literally driving a car. But I think you get the point, is that Martin's songs are open to interpretation. The more you read into these songs, Dave Garner's even said, a lot of these songs, because they've been going for so long, over the years, the songs mean different things to him. Like, there might be a song that he sang in 1987 that meant something, whereas when he sings it now, that song means something different. And this is once again down to the brilliance of Martin Gore. On face value, a lot of the songs are very literal, but read between the lines, there's a whole lot more to it. The things you said. I heard it from my friends about the things you said, but they know me better than that. they know me better than that. They know my weaknesses, I never try to hide them. I believe that this song is a lot more literal than Never Let Me Down Again. I think that Never Let Me Down Again does have some deeper meaning, and it can be open to more interpretations. Whereas I feel The Things You Said to Me is really a song about vulnerability. I heard it from my friends about The Things You Said. It's surrendering yourself to someone that you love, and by doing so, you make yourself vulnerable. I heard it from my friends about The Things You Said, but they know me better than that. This, to me, I can relate to, because this is about being I see it as, this is about being a very open and honest person. And you're one of those people who wears your heart on your sleeve and you don't have any lies. There's no bullshit with you. And then you heard it from your friends about the things that she said, but they know me better than that. So it is really, the way I see it, about a person who's honest and vulnerable and doesn't lie, and that sometimes that vulnerability and honesty is used as a weapon against them. And I think we can relate to that. I always find that people who are Depeche Mode fans, and I really see this with people who are subscribers to my channel and people, you know, who are on my Facebook group, we're all quite similar in that way, where, we're all quite sensitive, emotional, deep souls. So The Things You Said is really, to me, it's one of the more literal songs, and it's very personal to Martin, I think. I get so carried away, you brought me down to earth. I thought we had something precious. Now I know what it's worth. So this is really about betrayal. You've opened yourself to this person, and you're a very honest person with your friends. You heard it from your friends about the things she said, or your lover said, but they know me better than that. They know my weaknesses. Now, despite the fact that this song is I believe, quite literal in its delivery, there are still many ways we can interpret it. It's about getting hurt, betrayal. I get so carried away, you brought me down to earth. I thought we had something precious. Now I know what it's worth. It's that putting your hopes and building your world around someone, and then they just turn out to be disappointing and they let you down. And that's what this song means to me. And you know something? In 5 years' time, it may mean something different. And this is the brilliance of Martin Gore's songwriting. Strange love. There'll be times when my crimes will seem almost unforgivable. I give in to sin because you have to make this life livable. Now, this song is a little bit more cryptic and a little bit more abstract, a little bit more like Never Let Me Down Again. But let's sort of break down the words. There'll be times when my crimes will seem almost unforgivable. I give in to sin because you have to make this life livable. And that could be, the way I saw that was, I was brought up as a good Catholic boy. So, a moral, good guy I was brought up to be, and I'd like to think I'm still a good guy. But I'm not sort of religious, conventionally religious in that way anymore. But you need to give in to sin to make this life livable. And I could relate to that as a teenager, because there were certain things you could get up to as a teenager which were a sin in the eyes of God and the church, and you shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that. And I think Martin, because I believe Martin was brought up religiously as well, was he? I know Fletch was brought up to be quite religiously. In fact, people did say he was a bit of a Bible basher back in the day, if documentaries are to be believed. But I believe that Martin may have been brought up religiously. Perhaps Martin was, or perhaps he was not brought up religiously. But either way, he did sort of seem to, he was always fascinated by religion, and we know that. And we see from this point, and especially up until Songs of Faith and Devotion, how Martin's fascination with religion just, gets really, really deeper and deeper. But coming back to Strange Love, it's that feeling of, I need to be a good person, and this lust and this sex and these naughty things I should get up to. I shouldn't. So that is I give in to sin because you have to make this life livable. And to me that means, and what it meant to me at the time was, oh, well, I shouldn't really get up to these naughty things as a teenager, but you have to make this life livable. And although God is going to maybe condemn you for doing these naughty things, I know it's only for now. It feels good for now. The next few sentences go on to say, but when you think I've had enough from your sea of love, I'll take more than another river full. What could that mean? Beautiful lyrics, aren't they? When you think I've had enough, I'll take even more. Yes, and I'll make it all worthwhile. I'll make your heart smile. That line is not very literal. It can be interpreted in many ways, but to me it just meant I'm going to give in to sin because I have to make this life livable. It's kind of like surrendering to that short-term gratification, and I'll pay the price later. I've got to make this life livable, and when you think I've had enough, I'll take more. But at the end of the day, it'll be worthwhile for you and me both, or perhaps just for me. You might be sitting there going, Vaughan, that's absolutely right. Or you might be sitting there going, Vaughan, you're absolutely wrong. But as I'll say, what these songs used to mean to me as a teenager, what they mean to me now are different. And as I'm reading them now, I'm getting new insights and, possibly changing my mind as I go up. Strange love, strange highs and strange lows. Strange love, that's how my love goes. Will you give it to me? Will you take the pain I will give to you again and again, and will you return it? Now that's ebb and flow, that's yin and yang, that's back and forth. That's, as I'm reading this, I'm realizing there is so much more to this song than face value. Second verse, there'll be days when I'll stray, I may appear to be constantly out of reach. Once again, that's, to me, trying to stay on the straight and narrow. A little bit like Pet Shop Boys' It's a Sin. Father, forgive me, I tried not to do it. Turn over a new leaf and then tore right through it. Whatever you taught me, I did not believe it. Father, you fought me because I didn't care and I still don't understand. So there is it's a little bit like It's Sin in a way. And the strange love is, look how many layers there are. There's the conflict of trying to be a good person, but giving into the, lust and drugs and the naughty things in life that make life more livable. And then there's the dominance, the strange love, strange highs and strange lows. Give it to me. Will you give it to me? Will you take the pain I'll give to you again and again? Could that be literal pain in the bedroom? Whips and BDSM. Okay. We're trying to keep it above board here, but there is so much that can be interpreted in these songs. I give in to sin because I like to practice what I preach. I'm not trying to say I'll have it all my way. I'm always willing to learn if you've got something to teach. Oh, and I'll make it all worthwhile. I'll make your heart smile. So that's that could be seen a little bit as narcissistic, like do it my way, I'll make you happy. Or I can see at least 3 or 4 different meanings behind this song. And they could be 3 or 4 mutually exclusive meanings, or they could all be all 4 different meanings rolled into one. Really read the songs line for line, just without the music. And obviously you will not be able to detach from the music because you will always hear the songs. But it is interesting just to read the lyrics and to try and interpret them. Then it gets to the pain. Will you return it? I'll say it again. Pain. The typical subject of Depeche Mode songs. Pain, dominance, and pain. Pain, 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 pain. Will you return it? I'll say it again. Will you take the pain I will give to you again and again? Once again, many, many different interpretations of a great song. Sacred. Sacred, holy, to put it in words, to write it down. That is walking on hallowed ground, but it's my duty. I'm a missionary. The song is quite literal, or is it? It's about a missionary, or is it? Sacred, holy, to put it in words, to write it down. That is walking on hallowed ground, but it's my duty. I'm a missionary. So here is my confession. It's an obsession. I'm a firm believer and a warm receiver. And I've made my decision. This is religion, there's no doubt. Aha, but is this about being missionary? Or is this about sex? And I've made my decision. This is religion, there's no doubt. Or could it be drugs? The drugs are your religion. The sex are your religion. You see? So hearing this as a teenager, I was about, this is a missionary, and he's going to go around and he's spreading the news to boys and girls, the fact that he's a firm believer and a warm receiver. But as you get older, you realize, Martin, you kinky bastard. As you read deeper between the lines, this is a classic example of a song which, on face value, if you just read it, it's quite literal. Oh, it's about a missionary. But looking at it a bit deeper, I'm a firm believer and a warm receiver. And I will go down on my knees when I see beauty, there's no doubt. Now, in the religious sense, yeah, if you were brought up religiously like I was, that's quite blasphemous, because you should only worship your God. You can't go down on your knees and worship something else. And I remember when I was younger hearing songs like Blasphemous Rumors, and I almost got into trouble the first time my dad heard those lyrics, because it was blasphemous. Personal Jesus, I grew up really religiously, and although I'm not sort of conventionally religious now, I'm spiritual, but I'm not conventionally religious. I'm glad I grew up like that, because it did give me a good moral compass. But listening to these songs as a teenager, a lot of them were like, oh, this is naughty. I shouldn't be doing this. And it's different these days. Spreading the news around the world, taking the word to boys and girls. I'm a firm believer and a warm receiver, and I will go down on my knees when I see beauty, there's no doubt. I'm one of the devout, trying to sell the story of love's eternal glory. But a little bit deeper, there's something deeper and darker and more sinister. Martin, you kinky bastard. Little 15, one of the most sort of filmic and haunting songs of this album. Once again, teenage angst. Little 15, you help her forget the world outside, you're not part of it yet. Once again, on face value, it can be very literal. Little 15, you help her forget, 15-year-old girl, you help her forget the world outside, you're not part of it yet. And if you could drive her away to a happier place, to a happier day. This is a perfect and a timeless example of teenage angst. 15, that's when you're 15 years old, you're in the middle of the shitstorm. That's when hormones and life and you're trying to find your way through life. You're in the middle of the sort of teenage turmoil years, as I call them, and you're trying to find yourself. And now this is someone who's a little bit older looking at this 15-year-old girl and just trying to help her through, and because you love her. It's a little bit like and now you're only 15 and you look good, I'll take you under my wing, somebody should. So it's the same idea, I think. It's trying to save someone from a bad situation, possibly. And if you could drive her away to a happier place and a happier day. So, yeah, you don't have a license, or you don't have a car, or, you just can't drive. It could also mean, not literally you could drive her away and take her to another town. It could mean if you knew more, you could show her more. You see? And that's just come to me now, just reading this. To a happier place, to a happier day, that exists in your mind and in your smile. She could escape there just for a while. I mean, this is deep. This is really, really deep. It's not literally taking someone to another town and to a happier place. It could be taking them into your world, taking them into your arms, taking them into your world and taking them to a happier place. So this is both figurative and literal. But then again, all these songs are figurative and literal, depending on how you read them or how you interpret them. Let's look at this. Little 15. Why take the smooth with the rough? When things run smooth, it's already more than enough. She knows your mind is not yet in league with the rest of the world and its little intrigues. Why take the smooth with the rough? Why put up with it? When things run smooth, it's already more than enough. Which is quite cynical, and to me that means, even when things are going well, they're still bad. It's already more than enough. You've reached the end of your tether. She knows your mind is not yet in league with the rest of the world and its little intrigues. So she looks up to you, and she knows that you're not, although you want the best for her, you're not quite mentally up to this. Is that what it could mean? Do you understand? Do you know what she means? And as time goes by, and when you've seen what she's seen, you will, little 15. Now you're reading into it and go, oh my God, was this girl abused? What horrors has she seen? See, it really is you trying to save this fragile 15-year-old girl who's in a bad situation. And hopefully it'll help you fulfill and find yourself. Little 15, why does she have to defend her feelings inside? Why pretend? Once again, why does she have to defend, trying to justify herself? She doesn't have to, or does she? Or does she feel she needs to? She's not had a life of near misses. Yeah, this to me is someone that's being abused and you're trying to save her. Now all that she wants is 3 little wishes. Now it's interesting because now it gets to, she wants to see with your eyes, she wants to smile with your smile, she wants a nice surprise every once in a while. So now this is almost like the point where she's looking to you, the person who wants to save her, and she's almost becoming obsessed with you, or is she? She wants to see with your eyes, she wants to smile with your smile, she wants a nice surprise every once in a while. This is very, very sad if you really listen to this song. It can make you cry because the more you read into the lyrics, if you really read into it and think what it's about, is this about abuse, sexual abuse, someone who's been molested? And the fact that I'm asking these questions about a pop record just makes you realize, but I don't need to explain myself to you, because if you're a devotee and you're here, you know exactly where I'm coming from. There is so much that can be interpreted by these songs. And I'm hoping that by the end of this video, you're either going to say, oh, Vaughan, I read into that a lot more than you did, or I'm hoping you will think, oh, Vaughan, that's interesting the way you saw it, and get into a discussion with anyone in this group, whether it be a subscriber or in the Facebook group, and pick a song. And I think we'll do that. We'll pick songs and just say, well, what does it mean to you? These songs are so ingrained into my psyche, and they are so a part of me, as I'm sure they're a part of you. But yeah, this Little 15 that song is something, it's something else. Behind the Wheel. Dun, 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 dun. Behind the Wheel is a song about submission, giving in to someone. My little girl, drive anywhere, do what you want, I don't care. This song is kind of related to Never Let Me Down Again. I'm taking a ride with my best friend. So it's my little girl, drive anywhere, do what you want, I don't care. Tonight, I'm in the hands of fate, I hand myself over on a plate. The song is very sort of subdued. My little girl, drive anywhere, do what you want, I don't care. Tonight. And as I say, you've got Dave going, my little girl, drive anywhere, do what you want. Very direct and very sort of like confidently. And you've got Martin going, my little girl, drive anywhere, do what you want, I don't care, tonight. And it's haunting the way it's layered. And we'll talk about that more when we get to behind the scenes of the production. There are so many layers to these songs, guys. And the more I read into it, the more I see it. Submission, I don't care, tonight Submission, I don't care. Tonight I'm in the hands of fate. I hand myself over on a plate. Now, my little girl, there are times when I feel I'd rather not be the one behind the wheel. Come, pull my strings, watch me move. I do anything. That is really just, once again, it could be surrender. It could be submission. But the literal sense, and this is the great thing, is if you bring it to like PG, all ages, so a child could listen to this and go, oh, as I did when I was a teenager, I'm in a car and my girlfriend's driving, someone's driving. But as you get older and you realize, Martin, you kinky bastard. My little girl, I prefer you behind the wheel and me the passenger. Drive, I'm yours to keep. Do what you want, I'm going cheap tonight. This to me really is just submission. It could also mean selling your soul. And of course, the meanings to these songs can be as sinister or as optimistic as what you want them to be. We can all read into them in a completely different way. But I think we know Depeche Mode's leanings are always towards the sort of darker, more sexual, ambiguous side. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a lot of sexual innuendo in this song, as there are in a lot of Depeche Mode songs. Martin, you kinky bastard. I want you now. I want you now. Love this song. Tomorrow won't do. There's a yearning inside and it's showing through. Reach out your hand and accept my love. We've waited for too long. Enough is enough. It's obsession, it's lust. And as I say, in the years of teenage angst, you know what it's like, guys. well, it was, at least it was like this for me. You're geeky, you're into this girl, she don't want you because you're just not cool enough. And that yearning and that hunger, it's like, I want you now, tomorrow won't do, but you know you don't stand a chance. I want you now, tomorrow won't do. There's a yearning inside and showing through. It's like you're talking to this person, you're trying to act all casual, like, yeah, this is just cool, but the yearning and the hunger shines through. And wasn't it always like that, guys? The person that you were really into and you were trying to impress, you always fucked up when you were in front of them because you were so nervous, and then the girl that you didn't fancy would fancy you because you were so natural in yourself around them. I've got a lot of questions about life, and I'm sure you do. And if you're a devotee and a Depeche Mode fan, you'll know what I mean. And it's showing through. Reach out your hand and accept my love. We've waited for too long. Enough is enough. I want you now. And it's got a home droning. And you can feel the tension and the angst in the song. And that's not only through the production, but the lyrics are intense. My heart is aching, my body is burning, my hands are shaking, my head is turning. You understand, it's so easy to choose. We've got time to kill, we've got nothing to lose. I want you now. Desperate infatuation with someone and really wanting them. And I don't mean to sound like one of the boys, that's not what I'm trying to do. I don't mean to sound like one of the boys, I just want you now. And that's meaning, well, my interpretation, I'm not saying what the literal meaning is. I don't want to be like one of the boys, I just want you now. It's like, I will surrender. I'm not trying to look cool. I'm just surrendering myself to you, because I've got a love that won't wait, a love that is growing and it's getting late. Do you know what it means to be left this way when everyone's gone? The feelings they stay. I want you now. So this is a little bit like, I suppose, like the things you said, in the sense that I believe it to be a little bit more literal, but of course you can read between the lines and read something else into it. But to me, the literal sense and the sense I get from it is it's just it's an obsession and really wanting someone. When it gets to, especially when it gets to the end, it goes, he sounds like he's crying. It's just really intense, really intense. That's my interpretation of it, but I'm sure you have a different one, and I'd love to hear it. To have and to hold. I need to be cleansed. It's time to make amends. For all of the fun, the damage is done. And I feel diseased. I'm down on my knees. I need forgiveness, someone to bear witness to the goodness within, beneath the skin. Although I may flirt with all kinds of dirt. To the point of disease, now I want release. From all this decay, take it away. And somewhere there's someone who cares with a heart of gold to have and to hold. This is kind of bordering on self-harm. Once again, these songs played perfectly into teenage angst and, growing up with this music. I need to be cleansed. It's time to make amends. Are you an alcoholic? Are you drinking too much? Are you smoking too much? Are you indulging in things you shouldn't? For all of the fun, the damage is done. You've had too much to drink. You're abusing your body. So all of the fun, the damage is done. Your body's damaged, your mind's damaged. And I feel diseased. I'm down on my knees. I need forgiveness, someone to bear witness. And when he gets to the line, although I may flirt with all kinds of dirt, you've lowered yourself to this level where you're drinking, taking drugs, hanging out with the wrong people, all kinds of dirt, flirt with all kinds of dirt. You're hanging out with the wrong crowd, the wrong people. But you know that there is someone there with a heart of gold to have and to hold. You've lost yourself. You've lost your dignity. You aspire to something better, but you've just fallen and you're at an all-time low. But you know that there is someone out there to have and to hold with a heart of gold. And I think I've just summed it all up there. Is it literal? I suppose it's quite literal, but then again, it's very difficult because depending on how you see songs of Martin's, I would say they're always more ambiguous than what they are literal. But as I say, this whole song to me is really about being so low and putting yourself down so much and just hanging out with bad people, doing bad things. You're in it so deep and you can't get out. But you know that there is someone with a heart of gold to have and to hold, and although you're in this dark place, you live for the promise that hopefully there is something better, but you may still not deserve it. That's the way I see the song, guys. Deep, deep songwriting. And Martin, I do call you a kinky bastard sometimes, but with respect, I love you, man. You're something else. Nothing, oh no. Sitting target, sitting waiting, anticipating nothing. Life is full of surprises. It advertises nothing. This is a very cynical song. It's almost like, it's kind of like synonymous with having a bad attitude. Sitting target, sitting waiting, anticipating nothing. I'm just sitting here, nothing. But it could also be a soldier in a war situation, sitting target. You're just waiting to be wiped out. A little bit like flies on the windscreen. The flies hitting the windscreen, and the inevitability of death. And I know it's depressing, but how things can happen any moment, and you're never prepared. Things can just happen. So I don't know, that's just how my brain sort of relates. So there are certain songs which I relate to other songs in the catalogue quite strongly. Life is full of surprises. It advertises nothing. It's a little bit like the British mentality here. And what I love about you Americans is you guys have got this, not to generalize, but there's this idea in America where you can be anything you want to be. You can even be president. And that's what I love about the Americans. They're like, so yeah, guys, let's do this. And with the British, it's more like, nah, it'll probably never happen for you. Nah, it'll probably never happen. Life is full of surprises. It advertises nothing. What am I trying to do? What am I trying to say? I'm not trying to tell you anything you didn't know when you woke up today. You're telling someone it'll never happen for you, but at the same time you're going, I'm not trying to tell you anything you didn't know when you woke up today. So a little bit of sarcasm. Sitting target, sitting praying, God is saying nothing. There's the attack on God again. It's the blasphemous rumors. And I think this could be something that we've all questioned is, and we all know these people who are really good, they do the right thing, and they don't put a foot wrong. They're honest, noble, good people, and then they get killed or they die for disease. And I think this is where Martin's songwriting is so good, because he can put so much thought-provoking stuff disguised in a pop record. And if you're a devotee, you know that all very well. Always knows the prospect, learn to expect nothing. It's a very negative song, but there's a fine line between being negative and, I suppose, being realistic and seeing life for what it really is. And Nothing is a great track, and like all Martin Gore songs, open to many forms of interpretation, many different layers, lots of ambiguity, but at the same time, quite literal. So many layers to Martin songs. Martin, you're a genius. You really are. And that concludes my take on the lyrics of Music for the Masses. So much for me wanting to do a 10-minute video. It always takes a lot longer, but this is just how we roll on this channel. Guys, today's Sunday. So tomorrow, which is the 2nd of March, I'm off to interview Mr. Dave Bascombe. Now, in part 1 of the Music for the Masses series, which came out on Wednesday, links below, so please watch that. In part 1, I asked you, leave your questions below. And if you didn't, you have a chance on this video. Any questions that you want me to ask Dave Bascombe about the production of Music for the Masses. Is there anything you've ever wanted to ask Dave, but obviously couldn't? So please leave your question for Dave Bascombe below, and I will ask that question on behalf of you. I'm going to go through every message, and I'm going to try and ask as many questions as what I possibly can. Now, guys, you will see I've got these 3 vinyl records here. These are brand new. Dave Bascombe is going to be autographing all 3 of these, and 3 of you, will win one of these. Now, I started a crowdfunding pledge because moving forward, guys, I will be requesting funds to help fund these projects, because that just means I can make them better, better production values, and it just means I won't be out of pocket and I can sustain the channel. And I want to thank you guys who've actually pledged. Now, I also have to apologize. I started a GoFundMe pledge, and I said anyone who pledges £1 or more will be entered into the draw. Now, one of my subscribers came to me yesterday and said, Vaughan, I'm trying to pledge £1, but the website is asking for £5. Now, please forgive me for that. I'm brand new to this crowdfunding thing. I'm not able to edit that because I did say everyone who pledges £1 will be entered into the draw, but apparently it's the pledge I've set up is asking for a minimum donation of £5. So I apologize about that, guys. I'm new to this crowdfunding thing, and so I'm trying to get the bugs out. So I apologize that it is asking for £5. However, the upside to that does mean that, fewer of you have pledged, which means I think there's about 60 of you that have pledged so far, which means you've got a much better chance statistically to win one of these vinyls. As I say, I will also be going to Berlin in April, and I'm going to go to, I want to tour Hansa Studios. I want to do a documentary for you guys about Hansa, and I also want to interview Forced to Mode. Now, I will start a crowdfunding campaign for that later. Understand, guys, that when you pledge any money to these projects, I see you as a shareholder, and I feel I'm accountable to you to explain, what the funds are being used for. And also your names will be, appearing in the credits at the end of the video. And once again, to those guys, even if you don't pledge £1, or the fact that you're here watching my videos, I'm so grateful to you. I just really am. Right, so I'm looking very forward to tomorrow when we go and interview Mr. Dave Bascombe, and I'll keep you guys updated with, live updates on my Facebook page. Guys, as always, I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much. Really enjoying this Depeche Mode album review series. How many parts is this Music for the Masses one going to be? Don't know. It might go on forever. Guys, as always, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video and on the Dave Bascombe interview. You take care of yourselves, and thanks again.